Most of the privacy laws are around trying to circumvent essentially an organic opt-in, somebody actually saying, yes, I want to receive your email campaigns. Consider if you are buying lists or acquiring lists in ways that are not, i.e. someone actually opting into that list. You've got to consider those behaviors, those practices, potentially creating challenges for you long-term down the road when it comes to privacy. Drive for those organic opt-ins. Make sure you've got your subscription preferences center in an area where someone can see it and it is not necessarily hidden in tiny point font, in certain gray tones that make it very hard for someone to click through. All of that's going to help you be in better compliance. And we should be trying to really cull down our lists as much as possible and really focus on re-engagement campaigns to make sure we have as highly engaged lists as possible. We would be seeing much more higher averages across both open rate and click-through rate if we just worked on getting the bloat out of our subscription lists. I'd suggest 3 things to help marketers deliver the best email campaigns for their subscribers. It starts with delivery. If you're not getting into the inbox, it's all for naught. So that's making sure you've got your authentication protocols in place and making sure you're creating emails that are being measured against how all the internet service providers score your campaigns, which are things like replies and foldering. From an engagement perspective, slim up those headers, don't create a lot of noise there. You have probably got about, on average, somewhere between 8 to 12 seconds of attention on a per campaign basis. Get right to those calls to action and information that you want to get to those subscribers. Design that content for the scroll, so a single column, skinny base layout that allows someone to get through the content as easy as possible. And then on the growth side, make it really easy for people to figure out how to opt in. Put your subscription opt-in form in your nav, in common places where people are reading content, where they're interacting with your brand. Now, for those Apple Mail users, you're not going to have that pre-click data. So what can you do to optimize for actions where you can actually track engagement? Those 2 things are going to be replies and clicks. So that's about elevating those calls to action, right? We've classically seen this sort of inverted pyramid visual hierarchy with a lot of email campaigns. So you have image, headline, body copy, call to action, right? We've got to consider elevating that content, that text-based content above those images, rather than taking up the extra space that we're seeing there to really drive for that call to action, or design campaigns that are really trying to elicit that reply. That will help us measure Apple Mail users that much easier if we're designing our campaigns for those sort of engagement actions. And I think the biggest mistake I'm seeing content marketers make with email is just thinking that volume matters, that it is quantity over quality. There are things we need to do as email marketers and content marketers around email specifically, and that's specificity of the campaigns we're sending, what's the value proposition that we're doing, and then creating that consistency on a regular basis. What's the cadence that you're sending that content? You really have to understand that the relationship that you're building with a subscriber is a one-to-one experience. It is not one-to-many. So when we consider this idea of quality over quantity, it's about figuring out what's that right cadence with our individual subscribers and making sure we're delivering on that promise over and over again. Are we leveraging the right influencers in the space that are building meaningful relationships with our potential prospects and customers? Are we meeting them where they need to be met? Maybe it's different channels or different places where they're spending time. Embrace that change that's going to be constant over the next few years as we go through this pandemic period, and having the courage to make potentially decisions that are very hard to do but necessary for creating experiences that our customers love.